Hey, Bob. All right, we might as well get rolling here. That seems a little loud, but. All righty, so we have prayer requests. We have Ginger and John Bain, heavy unspoken. The Donahos to Bolivia. They're still having, his wife is still kind of having some issues, so they're trying to get all that settled before they leave for the field. My nephew James and his wife Cheyenne, they lost a baby a couple weeks ago now, but that's not something you just get over overnight. I mean, it's going to take time. Yeah, you never really actually get totally over it, but you learn to deal with it a little bit over time. It's very difficult. Mr. Cole, of course. And we have the upcoming missions conference. You like that too? Yeah, I love missions conference stuff. There is a list back there still for things that are needed. I actually, glad I looked at it again today because I was going to bring water and I saw 5 and thought they wanted 5 waters. That's the approximate cost, not how many they need. 5 big things. And then what else we got for prayer requests? Angel? Oh. Her name was Lisa? Yep. Okay. Can definitely do that. What else we got? Sean? Swimming. You're swimming in the snow? Okay. Anything else? David, what you got? Oh. And insurance issues and having problems with your back. Okay. What else we got? Malachi, did you have your hand up? That's for prayer requests. Okay. Alrighty, Brendan, would you like to open, please? Oh, wait, Johnny. Ooh, chocolates and candy for all of us? No, I'm just kidding, Johnny. I'm kidding. That's good, Johnny. Yeah, that's good, Johnny. Anything else? We can pray for you, Bob. We got you on here. I did want to mention my co-worker Felicia. That might have been her just updating her right now. It was. God's timing. She says, feeling pretty good this morning. So I usually do in the morning, then by evening I'm pretty wiped out. And she sees the doctor again on Tuesday. So just keep Felicia in prayer. She is doing better. She's at least out of the hospital. She's staying with her daughter and son-in-law. Anything else? New job? Okay. Okay, Brendan, go ahead. Amen. Thank you. Go ahead and turn to Proverbs chapter 6. That'll be our let's just call it a jumping off point. Now, this particular lesson, I kind of started to touch on a little bit last week in one of the points, but this is a much more detailed of that. Sometimes I think, well, maybe I should look at the next 2 or 3 lessons to make sure I don't delve too deep into them before we get to them, but if it fits in, it fits in. I mean, so this is lesson 5 in this series. This is a very popular one. It's called gossip. Gossip, the sin of 7 abominations. Now, I don't think we have a major deal with that here, but sometimes people gossip and they don't even realize they're doing it. We get that a lot, even like where I work. Sometimes you touch the wrong thing and you get a little electrical shock. Somebody did that. The person doing the training forgot to unplug the unit, or forgot to tell the trainee tech to unplug it, and he got hit with high voltage. He was fine, but by the end of the day, the rumor was, oh, he almost died. He had to go to the hospital. He went to emergency. Blah blah. The story got worse every time it got told. That's generally what gossip does. Yep. Every time it's told, there's a little more added to it to make it sound just a little bit worse. By the way, in case you didn't know, gossip is wrong. So in Proverbs chapter 6, we're going to start in verse 16. We've done this before, but it's kind of a little different perspective today. These 6 things doth the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him: a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. What we have here is a list of 7 sins that are so grievous they're called abominations. That's pretty bad. We have the proud look, the lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, he that soweth discord among brethren. Someone who is doing a lot of gossiping that gossip is born out of a heart that harbors all 7 of these. All 7. That's pretty bad, ain't it? We call it gossip. It's also in the Bible called talebearing. Proverbs chapter 26. Starting in verse 22. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. Burning lips and a wicked heart are like a potsherd covered with silver dross. By the way, that pot, it's like a normal everyday use pot, right? The bad stuff that comes off silver when you melt it, they scoop it off and they get rid of it. Well, someone took it and put it on an everyday pot trying to make it look more valuable than it was. In other words, deceiving. It's deceiving and worthless. Verse 24. He that hateth dissembleth with his lips and layeth up deceit within him. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. A lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it, and a flattering mouth worketh ruin. Pretty descriptive, huh? That's the talebearer, the gossiper. Now, the talebearer defined is, the word talebearer in the Bible comes from a Hebrew word, and of course I'm not going to try to pronounce that. That means to walk along or apace, to be conversant, to wander abroad, to and fro, up and down. A talebearer is a man or woman who walks among the people, gathering information from them. They then take this information and spread it to others. And it's not for a good purpose. In the Bible, the talebearer is condemned. We're going to notice some Bible truths about the sin of gossip. God has nothing good to say about gossip. Nothing. In Leviticus chapter 19, Leviticus 19, and verse 16. Now, I was going through a bunch of laws here, a bunch of things, the do's and don'ts. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people. Neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord. Strictly forbidden right there, isn't it? And yet it's something that goes on not just in society, but in churches. So the talebearer's goal is to find out secrets and spread them around. In Proverbs chapter 11, Proverbs chapter 11, verse 13. A talebearer revealeth secrets, but he that is of a faithful spirit concealeth the matter. The talebearer wants everybody to know everything about everybody else. And we're going to look at some reasons for that in a few minutes. But he that is of a what kind of spirit? Faithful spirit concealeth the matter. If you got an issue with someone, take it to them. Not every other person. You go to this person and you go to this person while they go to this other person. That does no good for your situation, does it? And yet that happens. Chapter 10, verse 18. He that hideth hatred with lying lips, and he that uttereth a slander is a fool. Pretty strong, isn't it? That's the talebearer. So a talebearer revealeth secrets, but he that is of a faithful heart concealeth the matter. Now a talebearer likes to find out things that no one should know and spread it. There's times where I'm working and in the background I hear these people talking. It's in a restaurant. And they are talking about things that honestly should be talked about only in private. Sometimes I'll just turn and look and they'll say something to me and I'm like, I really don't need this information. Sometimes I'll jokingly, if it's not too bad, I'll say, well, this job is so educational. But what they're really doing is gossiping, talebearing. It's usually about another coworker. They're gossiping about this coworker not doing their job, while they're standing there talking about the coworker not doing their job. Well, they like to hear or overhear. They like to hear or overhear what should not be repeated, then repeat it. They gather half-truths, partial conversations, and second-hand information, and then repeat it as the gospel truth. We talked about that before. Half a truth is still a whole lie, isn't it? They love to appear to be the authority and the last word on everything. We need to actually be very careful who we choose to share things with. Everybody has a friend they want to share things with. We need somebody to share things with. But most people that we share something with, they have a friend that they feel they can trust and share things with. That friend has a person they feel they can trust. Pretty soon, what you said in private, confidentially, is all over the place. We need to make sure when we need to talk to somebody, it's someone who is faithful. Someone who is not going to repeat the matter, just like that verse said. I do remember, I think it was 6th grade. That was a few days ago for me. The teacher wanted to show us an experiment. Started at the desk on the one corner. Whispered something to the student. By the time it got to the last student, it wasn't even close to what she whispered in the first student's ear. That's gossip. Now, she was doing it for an experiment, not for bad purposes, just to show us how it worked. It gets more and more embellished as it goes. Okay, so that's the talebearer's goal, to find out secrets and spread them. Then, a talebearer collects these secrets through flattery. In Proverbs chapter 20, verse 19. He that goeth about as a talebearer revealeth secrets. Therefore meddle not with him that flattereth with his lips. In other words, what he's doing is they love to appear to be your friend. Oh, tell me all about it. Let me help you. What they want to do is help themselves to the information so they can tell everybody else. They seem to listen with a compassionate ear so they can pump you for information. They convince you to confide in them to share what you know and how you feel about things, then they use that information to their own advantage, to try to get people to go this direction or that direction. Number 4, a talebearer then uses these secrets to hurt people on purpose. Proverbs chapter 18. Verse 8. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. Look at 26:22. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. Same exact verse, isn't it? We've said it before, but if God puts something in His Word, it's important. We've got it twice here in the same book. Different chapters, but the same book. We need to remember these things and apply them, of course. See, what gossip does is gossip hurts. It wounds people physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. When you start worrying about something, what happens? It can make you physically sick. People get ulcers because of why? Worry about things. So it's affecting people physically, mentally, emotionally, but also spiritually. There have been people who have been rumored about and left the church. The church that God wanted them at. But because of gossip, they left. So a talebearer enjoys creating strife between individuals. And that's what happens sometimes. That strife gets so bad that people have to leave. No one should feel like they have to leave a church because of gossip. Everyone should be welcome to come here, to worship God, to serve God. The gossip enjoys causing division in the congregation. It pleases him to make someone mad at another person. Then he can stand back and watch and enjoy his work. Or her, his or her. It applies to both. That's their goal. To cause strife, division, and any issues they can. Gossip actually destroys friendships. Often this is done out of jealousy and envy. The gossiper, he doesn't have close friends because people know him. I don't want to hang around with someone who's gossiping all the time. Someone who is always causing strife, issues, division. They see somebody with a really good friend, and it causes jealousy. They don't want that for anybody else because they can't have it. The talebearer sees two people who are good friends and tries to get one of them to talk bad about the other. Then they run to the other and tell them about it. Oh, you know what so-and-so said? Oh, here's what they said about you. Well, oh yeah, well, here's what I think. All it's going to do is escalate the problem, isn't it? Now, if someone does, I've mentioned this before, if someone does come to you with some gossip, say, hold on, they're right over here, let's go talk to them. Let's get this straightened out. If they're just being a talebearer, they don't want to do that because you just destroyed their purpose. You put a stop to it. That's what we actually need to do with a talebearer. Stop them cold in their tracks. And usually, by the way, when they do start saying, well, so-and-so said this, this, and this, they embellish it. They add to it. Just like that trainee service tech that got hit with electricity. It went from, oh yeah, I heard him a little bit, he finished the job, to, oh, he was an emergency, had to be taken by ambulance. That didn't happen, but by the end of the day, that's where the story went. That's how gossip is. Exaggerated, it destroys. In Proverbs 16:28, let's go to this next one, Proverbs 16:28. A froward man soweth strife, and his whisperer separateth chief friends. A whisperer, gossiper, talebearer, just another word for it. And by the way, this word froward means perverse. The talebearer is doing it because he is perverse. So why does a talebearer do this? It's kind of a mystery sometimes when people do certain things. You see them do it, and you're like, why would they do that? As a service tech, sometimes training someone, you're watching them, and you're like, you got to let them learn. So you got to just kind of step back. But it's like, okay, why is he doing this? That doesn't make sense to me. Now, sometimes in the service industry, it does make sense, but that's a whole different ballgame. But one of the mysteries of life is the why behind someone's hurtful actions. What causes some people to spend their lives gossiping and talebearing, especially those who've been in church, they know better, but they're doing it anyway. They've heard God's word preached about it, but they do it anyway. They know what the Bible says about it. They know it's a sin, but they still want to do it. In Proverbs chapter 26, we read through some things here. Starting in verse 20. Now, we read some of this before, but we're going to do it again here. Where no wood is, there the fire goeth out. So where there is no talebearer, the strife ceaseth. It stops. As coals are to burning coals, and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. The words of a talebearer is wounds. They go down into the innermost parts of the belly. Burning lips and a wicked heart are like a potsherd covered with silver and silver dross. He that hateth dissembleth with his lips and layeth up deceit within him. When he speaketh fair, believe him not. For there are 7 abominations in his heart, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. A lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it, and a flattering mouth worketh ruin. And by the way, that the rolling stone, he's doing it to hurt his neighbor, to destroy. So why does someone become a talebearer? Verse 21. He is a contentious man. Some people love drama. Yep, they sure do, Johnny. Yep, some people love the drama. Now me, I go the other way. If I see something going on, none of my business. Exactly, Johnny. I go the other way. I don't want the drama. I don't need the drama. It's too stressful. It's not healthy for us. But some people love that drama. So they are contentious. Then because they are trying to distract others from their own secret wickedness. They're pointing the finger so nobody looks at what they're doing. Exactly. That's something that we, more vintage people, grew up with. You're pointing at something. Look at all those fingers pointing back at me there. Exactly. They're trying to hide what they're doing by pointing at someone else so you'll look at them. If they can keep people talking about others, they're hoping, well, no one's going to notice what I'm doing because I've got them looking over here. See how the talebearer, nothing good's coming from them, are they? It's always something that's going to hurt someone else so they can feel better about themselves. That's like bullies. Why do bullies pick on people? Most of the time it's because they have a low self-esteem. It makes them feel good to be over somebody. The next here, because they refuse to purge their lives of the 7 abominations. They don't care. God called them abominations. So that is stuff that we should be avoiding and make sure it's not in our lives. But a talebearer doesn't care. They don't want to get rid of that. They want to hang on to it for all these different reasons. And then because of a secret hatred held against others. Most talebearers are just miserable people whose heart is filled with envy against happy and successful people. So they spend their lives trying to tear down others with their tongue. Well, how come they're so successful? That's not right. Well, maybe it's because they worked their whole life, put in all those extra hours. When you would show up late, leave early, then wonder why your paycheck's small. People get envious and sometimes don't realize that it's their own fault. That's the mindset of a talebearer. It's always somebody else's fault. They're always wanting to point that finger and blame someone else. They want to tear people down. So then, how is gossip stopped? How can we put an end to the sin that seems to do so much damage to individuals, families, and churches? What is the mature Christian response? Well, I already mentioned, take the person to the person they're talking about. That usually, they're done. But recognize the motivation of the talebearer. Ask yourself, how did they find this out? Why are they telling me? What will their reaction, or what will they do with my reaction to the news? What they're going to do is go tell somebody else and make you look bad. We need to remember, if someone will come to you and tell you what another person said about you, they're going to go to that person and tell them what you said. They're trying to create division and strife. That's their goal. Don't give them that opportunity. If you know someone is gossiping, shut them down. Don't give them the benefit of a reaction. Recognize the sin of the talebearer. Ask yourself, according to the Bible, what kind of person does it take to do this? Your answer? Someone who's a transgressor of the law, cares not if they wound others, is against unity, loves to destroy friendships, has a contentious spirit, and is hiding their own secret personal sins. And the more they do it, the bigger it gets and the worse it gets. I hate to mention snow because it's all out there right now, but maybe that makes it appropriate. When we were kids, we would take a little snowball, right, and roll it in the snow. And the more we roll it, the bigger it gets. There were times that there'd be 2 or 3 of us out there doing that, trying to make a giant snowman. We'd get that snowball so big you couldn't move it no more. That's what gossip is. It's like taking that snowball and roll it down a hill. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Another thing about gossip, the reason we need to stop it cold in its tracks before it goes anywhere. There was this lady at a church. I don't know if it's a true story or not, but it's something I read up on a little bit. She was gossiping about everyone in her church. Pastor, found out about it. I was talking to her about it, explaining, what we've been going through here. This is sin. She goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I didn't think about it. There's no harm done." He goes, "I'll tell you what. Here's what I want you to do. Take a pillow, a feather pillow. Just take a long walk. Start throwing these feathers out. Little here, little there, all over the place. When you're done, come back and see me." So she did that. She walked all over the place, spreading these feathers everywhere. She gets back and he goes, "Did you do it?" "Yep." "Okay, now go collect all those feathers." Well, that's impossible. The wind's blowing them all over the place. That's what gossip does. Once it's been spread around, you can't take it back. You can't really fix it. You've wounded somebody. You've hurt somebody. And yes, we should forgive others, but that's still going to tarnish the person's reputation and their testimony. And somewhere, someone is always going to remember that bad thing that wasn't even true. Next, recognize the heart of the talebearer. According to the Word of God, there are 7 abominations in his heart. We can always review that list. It's right there in Proverbs. We need to realize we're dealing with someone who is filled with 7 abominations against God, that we're dealing with someone who is proud, deceitful, ruthless, wickedly, delusional, given to mischief, dishonest, a divider of good brethren. We need to recognize that that person who has carried the gossip to you is harboring a secret jealousy and hatred against the person they are gossiping about. Gossip can have some truth in it, but it seems always to be embellished. Always this added, or this added, or this added. Never the whole truth. They always add to it to make them look better and you look bad, or whoever they're gossiping about. A gossiper cannot be trusted. Whatever they're telling you has been fabricated, exaggerated, or embellished. So what do? I already kind of mentioned this, but rebuke the bearer of the tale. If everyone that someone comes to with gossip says, "Stop, I don't want to hear it. Let's go to this person and get this fixed now," we wouldn't have a problem with it, would we? Now, I honestly don't think we have a major problem with it here, but like I said earlier, some people do it and don't even know they're doing it. We need to make them aware if they don't. Turn me to Matthew chapter 18 real quick here. Matthew 18. We're going to start in verse 15 here. This is Jesus teaching on it. "Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee 1 or 2 more, then in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word be established. And if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it unto the church. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as a heathen man and a publican." That's what we do. We take it directly to the person if they've offended us. And if someone's coming to you with gossip, that's kind of offensive, isn't it? But if someone does actually do something, this is talking about more than just gossip, obviously. Sometimes someone might do something or say something to offend us. They don't even know it. We take it to them privately. Most people, if you do that, they're going to want to make it right. The talebearer, probably not so much. We need to be careful about making sure we're not in that category at all. Brother Dave, could you close, please?